Hey, welcome back. I want to talk to you today about what happens when becoming stops being theoretical and starts being real. If you listen to this podcast and you feel something inside of you stir, something activate, I want to speak right now to that part of you. Even if it's just a quiet belief, that quiet belief is not small. It's not random. It's the beginning of leadership. Because the women who change rooms and the men who change rooms, who change families, who change systems and futures always start as the ones who feel it first, long before they believe they're ready. Maybe I could live my dreams. Maybe I'm capable of more aliveness, more courage, more self-trust, more beauty and gratitude in my life. Maybe I could serve the world in extraordinary ways. All it takes is one person to believe in you. And sometimes that one person doesn't change your life. They just change what you believe is possible for everyone watching you, for you watching you. And belief is contagious. Courage is modeled and learned. When one person steps forward, it gives permission to 100 others that are still standing on the edge, waiting for permission. That's exactly what happened to me. I shared my story in episode 7, The Magic of Borrowed Beliefs, a moment when I was ready to believe in myself just because someone else did. The world didn't hand me the perfect circumstance. I faced deep self-doubt, self-criticism, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of being othered. And what helped me move through the paralysis wasn't confidence and it wasn't certainty. It was holding on to that belief, that one person, that one conversation, that one example of someone just like me out there living their dream, knowing it could be possible for me too. And it all came down to one decision. Personal development is not about fixing yourself because nothing about you is broken. This is about believing in the endless possibilities of who you are and who you could become and life that could grow from that belief. So I continue to invest in my own becoming because I know the power of beliefs, how they shape how we show up, how we create our lives with purpose, with intention, with passion, with creation. So this episode is just to name a threshold that many of us reach, the moment where our becoming stops being private, where it stops living only in our journals, in our dreams, in this podcast, in late night. Today, right now, decide that this is the moment your growth starts to matter beyond you, because who you become isn't just about you. You become the example of what's possible now in this room and in every room you enter. You pay it forward. Someone's watching you. The moment when inspiration is no longer enough and we begin to crave that integration, that living it, that deeper way of living things that's inside of us that we want to touch and feel. That's the way when your becoming feels embodied, it feels real, it feels supported. So this is your standing invitation. Join me, join us, join this community. Come inside. Let us serve you. Let us be the people that believe in you. And this invitation stands whether you feel called to it right now or whether you return to it later when something says it matters. It doesn't matter. The timing is perfect when you decide it's perfect. So just take what resonates and let the rest go. And trust that if you're here, it's not by accident. If this is calling to you, it's not by accident. When you step inside to this soulSHINE container, this isn't about being the loudest voice. It's about being the person who expands the room by expanding themselves. We don't compete for space, we create it. Our presence makes other people more relaxed, stand taller, remember who they are, because we're remembering who we are, being present with ourselves. We remember how much we matter, and it's a mirror to others of how much they matter, that we are all powerful and strong and courageous, even though it looks different by each of us. We all have different gifts and different journeys, but it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside. It just matters what it is. It doesn't matter that someone has a certain title or position or reputation. That's not what it's about. It's about who we are as we live the lives and the missions that are in our hearts that we know that we're meant to live, no matter what our situation, our title, our circumstances. It's permission to be unapologetically you, the exact way that you are. And by you giving yourself that permission, it gives permission to others in the community to be them as well. So I invite you, please come inside if this speaks to you. Do the work with us. Step into the power of community. Because imagine how activating it is when one person believes in you. Now imagine being surrounded by people who believe that anything is possible. People committed to their growth, their evolution, their integrity over a lifetime. Watching them day after day fall and rise and fall and rise. It's not just a beautiful thing to say about community. There is science about the power of community. Large population studies show that the stronger a person's sense of belonging is, the more likely they are to change behaviors that matter. So this is research about health, about nourishment, follow through, goals. And these will be linked in the show notes. And it's not because they're more disciplined, but because belonging itself changes how we relate to effort, to safety, and to possibility. And again, the show notes will have the articles. I want to ask you, how many people like that do you have in your daily life? And I think for most of us, it's a luxury. Like we can count them on one hand or fewer. That same article of the large population studies on the power of community show that there is actually a dose-response effect, meaning the more belonging someone feels, the more change they sustain, even after accounting for personality, for resources, or for life circumstances. So community doesn't just support growth, it amplifies it. So imagine being in a container filled with people who are extraordinary. It's not just commonplace, like your whole community is extraordinary. And they're not extraordinary because of what they do, but because of how they meet life, how they face challenge, how they anchor into their conviction, how they hold space for themselves and others, how they commit to serving at the highest level, how they keep choosing themselves again and again, their mission, their life, their purpose, their passion. Imagine walking into a space where you don't have to over-explain your vision, where no one asks you to shrink when you speak boldly, where your ideas aren't met with confusion or fear, but recognition, where your momentum is finally met with structure, support, and a shared devotion to becoming. When you see that all around you, that has an impact on you. Behavioral science shows that social support isn't just encouraging, it's actually predictive. This means that people are far more likely to maintain change when they feel supported by peers. And the ones who benefit the most are often those who start with the least confidence, the least support. So possibility becomes accessible when we're in community. Let me say that again. Possibility becomes accessible when you're in community. Change becomes less scary. You don't feel so alone. Success doesn't just come from effort alone. It accelerates in the presence of people who think expansively, who live intentionally, and who refuse to play small with their lives. Growth moves faster when it's witnessed, mirrored, and held. Our lives may look different jobs, different families, different relationships, but the human experience underneath, that's shared. Uncertainty, imposter syndrome, desire for impact, longing for confidence and meaning, desire for more love, for more pleasure, for more passion, for more conviction, desire to make lasting change and leave a legacy. That's just universal no matter who we are, what we do, our circumstance, our title. Sometimes someone is just like you, your same vision, and just one step ahead of you. Not very far, just one step. Doing something you thought maybe would take you years and all of this change. And you see them do it in months. You see them do it more simply. Witnessing that accelerates your own belief in becoming. Again, that's the magic of borrowed beliefs. You're expanding what's possible in your mind just by witnessing it. And even though we're talking so much about growth, impact, legacy, mission, this is not just about achieving a goal, an outcome, a measurement. It's about who you become in the pursuit. As we evolve, how many times do our goals evolve? What we held on to so tightly, and now we have a different perspective. And so our goal has a different perspective. How beautiful would it be when you're 80, 90 years old, looking back on your life, that You have the knowing that the richness in your life wasn't created by what you checked off, what you accomplished. It will be who you became along the way. The love that you gave, the forgiveness, the courage you experienced, the gratitude, the desires that you got to see fulfilled, the connections that you made, the support that you gave to someone else, the support that you received, the hardships that you faced and how you faced them, what you came away with from them, with them. And we can't become who we're meant to be if we stay on the sidelines, if we make excuses, if we wait to feel ready, confident, smart, belonging. We have to think about us in relation to the collective, because staying on the sidelines doesn't just delay your becoming. It delays the person who needed to see you go first. Think about that. Leadership doesn't always look like being followed. Sometimes it looks like being seen, just choosing yourself, choosing your mission, your heart, your desires, your message. And so often we don't even recognize our limiting beliefs until we say them out loud. And then someone gently reflects them back to us. We can see it, we can explore it, we can deconstruct it, we can repurpose it. So this is the difference between inspiration and transformation. I love the soulSHINE podcast and I love my social media platform because they are meant to inspire. They are the places where I go and I put in my musings, my contemplations, my art. It is my art gallery of life. It gives me so much beauty to see life as art. Here's the line. Inspiration alone isn't going to change your life. Integration does. Come inside. Join us. Join the soulSHINE container. You don't just listen and you go beyond contemplating. You notice the automatic beliefs that are quietly running in the background of your life. You explore the impact that they have on you. And for the first time, maybe for some of you, you choose, you put yourself in the position of choice, which is our agency. Our agency is our capacity to act. That is how we release power in this world, through choice. So after exploring these beliefs and their impact on you and how we're co-creating with life, whether we know it or not, intentionally or unintentionally, consciously or unconsciously, you choose whether you still want to believe it or how you want to believe it or why you want to believe it. You gain choice. You practice intentionally living your life through managing your mind, through managing your emotions. And at the core, at the center of it is your purpose, is your desire, is your peace, is your joy, is whatever your values are, is your alignment to you, to the life that you want to live, who you want to be, how you want to be it. No matter the circumstances around you, you give yourself the choice of change. Not waiting for someone to hand it to you, not waiting for someone else to fix it. You can still be a part of fixing, quote unquote, the circumstances around you. No problem. And you don't have to wait for it in order for your life to change. Because if nothing changes, nothing changes. That's why cognitive emotional work is so freaking empowering. We're not responsible for everything that happens in the world. We are not responsible for systemic injustice, or circumstances beyond our control, but we are responsible for how we meet them, for whether we see ourselves as powerless and we are paralyzed in our inaction and blame and frustration and pain and suffering, or whether we claim our agency. How do we want to heal with this? How can I disrupt this? How can I build community around what matters? And listen, this is not about perfection. It's not about performing. This is about being real. This is your life. This is your spirit, your heart, your mind. This is your life, the only one we get. There's nothing that you have to do to prepare. There's nothing that you have to do to perform. You don't even have to attend like every session inside a group container if that's what you choose. You can do this work privately, one-on-one, and it doesn't have to be with me. Listen, it doesn't have to be with me, but find someone who you can do this work with. And different seasons might call to different things in your life. Maybe this is not the season. That's fine. Let this be your standing invitation, though, that you never give up on you. Whether you want to do this work one-on-one, whether you want to do this work in a group. And I just want to give you some back-end permission. I have volunteered for multiple large randomized controlled trials of group interventions of group coaching studies since 2022. I'm going to put some in the show notes. And I can tell you of hundreds and sometimes more, up to 1,000 of people in a group. Not everyone comes. Not everyone gets coached directly. And yet the measurement, the quantitative studies show that every single outcome of burnout and wellness improve. Kind of interesting, huh? Like, not everyone did the program. Not everyone did the whole program. Not everyone did all the pieces of the program. So how does that work? Because science shows that community carries its own activation energy. In many group-based studies, outcomes improve, even when people don't attend the whole thing, complete every session, because motivation doesn't just come from instruction. It emerges from the shared experience, from mutual witnessing of each other, of collective identity, of normalizing humanity. And over time, what starts as external support becomes your internal calibration, your internal conviction, relief of external suffering that I'm not the only one. Beyond that, even if you were just passively belonging, belonging is belonging. Belonging normalizes our humanity. Storytelling creates collective meaning. That, combined with psychological safety, allows real change. And again, I'm going to put all of these in the show notes. So you don't need the right answer. You don't need to show up for anyone else except yourself. There's no prerequisite to belonging. Belonging is not something that you earn. It's just something that you decide. Every time you choose to belong to yourself, you make it easier for someone else to do the same. You decide that you belong because you're human, because you're worthy and you were born worthy and nothing has changed. Nothing that has ever happened to you has ever changed your worth. I believe that we are responsible for believing in our worth unapologetically. If you don't, who will? And what will that cost you? What has it already cost you? And beyond worth, I believe it's also our responsibility for believing in our capacity, not just in what I can do today, but what can I do tomorrow? What can we create together? Because capacity also multiplies in community. Alone, we imagine. Together, we build. Together, we remember that none of us were meant to do this life, this becoming, this impact alone. This isn't about, lifting each other up because they need help, that person over there. This is about how can I lift myself up so that I can remind them how tall they stand too. And then they get up when I'm down and I see them stand. I'm reminded of how tall I stand too, to be my fullest self. In this age of artificial intelligence and virtual space, it's really easy to feel a sense of disconnection. And where is that just a belief? Where can we believe that it actually brings us closer to each other, more access to each other, that we have proximity to each other? Because that's also power. Social change spreads through proximity. So just by you living differently, you're going to influence your network. And now, because of technology, I can be part of that network. I can be a little closer. I can have proximity to witnessing how you live differently. And there's research to show this, that when people live differently than their environment, they naturally influence their environment. They shift norms, conversations, expectations, far beyond just the original group. I believe that the only reason you are on this planet is to be exactly who you are, who you were always meant to be. Not because life is easy, but because the barriers you faced are the very places where your gifts are formed. You have something unique to offer this world that no one else can, only you. And if you believe you aren't enough, that it doesn't matter, that your gift isn't special, I promise you are wrong, because who you are is not just a gift of your becoming for you. It's a gift for all of us, for the world. And you're doing the world a disservice if you do not become who you were always meant to be. We become by understanding how our brain works, by embodying those beliefs through emotional work, by empowering ourselves through constantly creating awareness and choice, so we live with intention and alignment of that becoming. There is nothing preventing you from starting right now. You're not too late. You're not too early. You're exactly on time. You don't need to be more confident, more healed, or more certain to choose yourself. You just get to decide. Decide to believe in yourself. Decide to belong. Decide to create the world that you want to belong to. This is your invitation. Join us. Join this community. Come inside. Let's make real change beyond this podcast conversation, beyond digital art. The momentum is building. Can you feel it? The community is growing. The possibilities are expanding. Are you coming? You don't need to wait for the right time to be ready. Just learn from me. I have had this soulSHINE space as a little seed in my heart for years, okay? 5 years to be exact. And it took me a loss in 2025 to really sit down and appreciate how fragile and fleeting life is. That life is way too short to play small, to not go all in on my dreams, on my relationships, on myself. Life is meant to be lived right now, not to wait until I'm good enough, confident enough, smart enough. Even if it's just one tiny little move, one small moment. Is my dream worth it? Is my relationship worth it? Am I worth it? Heck yeah. Don't make my mistake. You don't need to wait to decide that your dreams are worth it. They are worth it. So if this is stirring you, trust it. That's usually the moment people talk themselves out of change, that they don't have time, that they're embarrassed, that they don't belong. If you don't have time now, when will you? You make time for what matters, whatever the time, even if it's 15 minutes. You make those seconds of each minute matter. If you feel embarrassed, what if you reframed that support isn't about somehow fixing something that's wrong, but support is about being everything that you knew you could be. And if you don't feel like you belong, think about this. Choosing to not belong actually still creates a sense of belonging. It's just that now you feel you belong to being othered. Like I still belong, I just belong over there. Does that make sense? Like you decide. Do I belong inside? Do I belong outside? But you're the one choosing the belonging. No one can choose that for you. We invite you. We create space for you. And I get it. This space isn't for everyone, okay? It's not about like quick fixes. It's not about bypassing discomfort. It is for you if you are ready to become the love of your own life, if you're curious about your inner world, if you want to live with courage and heart and intention, if you want to be surrounded by people who believe in themselves and their contribution to this world. If that is what is speaking to you, we would be so honored to walk with you, to create something beautiful together. Your life, a life that feels like yours, a life free to dream your wildest dreams and to blow your own freaking mind with your becoming. This is not about joining something outside of you. It's about stepping into a room that reflects who you are, who you're becoming, and who you're here to be for others. Not to be held up, but to be held with, supported, seen, elevated, so that you can now do the same for others. Because legacy is not built through comparison or competition. It's built through the collective rise, through women and men who choose to live fully. And in doing so, change what's possible for everyone around them. This is your standing invitation. Join our community. Bring friends. Learn the evidence-based tools. Practice them in a safe and loving space. And just become more and more of you. When you're ready, you'll find the next steps in the show notes. Okay, I'm wishing you all play, possibility, and peace. I'm wishing you to feel supported in this space. And I am so freaking honored to be a part of your soul tribe. Sending you love. See you next week.